As you know, of course, the death of Queen Elizabeth II marks the beginning of the reign of King Charles III. And many of us are wondering what we can expect from the new king. Tim Ewart is the former royal editor with the independent television network in the UK, and he joins me live from London. Thanks for joining us, Tim. Appreciate your time. First up, I wonder if you can give me your sense of how the rest of the week's going to unfold in London, especially when the Queen is lying in state and people can line up to pass their personal condolences, to make their personal connection with the Queen. We're talking about possibly scenes not seen before, with 1 million people in the streets. What do you expect to see?
I expect to see that, Chris. I think the appearance of the Queen's coffin has brought the reality of her death home to a lot of people. It was, for many people here, it was quite difficult to get their head round the fact that the Queen had died. It is now a reality, obviously. We're going to see the beginning of the funeral process, the lying in state process, starting in Edinburgh today with a solemn procession of the coffin there. I think when that coffin gets down to Westminster Hall in London for 4 days of lying in state, the crowds are going to be enormous. It's difficult to predict how many. When the Queen Mother lay in state there, 200,000 people filed past her coffin. The Metropolitan Police in London are saying this time they think it could be as many as 2 million. And they've put out all sorts of warnings. Be prepared to queue overnight. There'll be nowhere to sit, so, be ready for a real ordeal. But I think a lot of people will want to do it, and I think those crowds will continue to build up in London leading up to the funeral, for which there is a massive security operation being planned.
It's an extraordinary piece of history we're seeing unfolding, but I wonder if I could ask you to play almost amateur psychologist here. Tell me about the people who will be doing this. Is it a personal connection that drives them, a personal connection to the Queen, a sense of patriotism, or a sense of history, or maybe a little bit of all of those three?
I think it's personal, really, Chris. I think that's the big thing. And, somebody made an observation yesterday watching the aerial shots of the hearse driving from Balmoral, and the reference to obviously crowds lining the street. And somebody said, yes, but I wonder how many of those are young people. Well, the answer to that is that the crowds, the crowds that we've seen gathered at Buckingham Palace have included a lot of young people. And I think many people feel that they just simply want to say goodbye to somebody who's been so much a part of their lives. Another observation was that you don't have to be a monarchist to be a queenist. The Queen had immense personal popularity. Now, there are some people, as you will know, in Britain who turn out for any royal event days before it happens. I remember the birth of Prince George at Paddington Hospital in London. I mean, there were people camping outside that hospital for 3 weeks. So we have some real royal enthusiasts. But for most people, I think it is just that feeling that they simply want to say goodbye to somebody who's just been so much part of their lives for so long.
Well, let's stay on the personal, because I think this becomes very interesting. I'm a Republican, but a lot of the Republicans have always sort of said that when it comes to time for King Charles III, then suddenly the monarchy won't be as popular. I disagree with this. I think that's the wrong way to look at it, because I think whatever he might have done in the past, and we've all laughed about talking to plants and the like, he assumes the mantle, the authority of the monarch. He's had a great role model in his mother, and he's already said that he's going to say less, perhaps do less. And what do you expect from him? Will he actually be embraced by the British public and therefore others in the Commonwealth?
Well, simple analysis is what you said, that he's not as popular as the Queen, and that the transition is going to put the monarchy under more pressure from people who believe in republicanism. My sense now, and I actually held that view quite strongly before, but my sense now is that actually the majority of people in Britain, and we do have a Republican movement here, not as big as yours, but the majority of people in Britain will actually give him a chance. I mean, he's come across well in the days since his mother's death. He's shown his emotion. He's shown how much he intends to carry on in the way that she did. He's not going to be speaking controversially in public anymore as he has done in the past. He's going to change the look of the monarchy. He's going to slim it down. And as you can see from the pictures that you're showing there, that's a big change for a monarch. The Queen latterly didn't do walkabouts, and when she did, she wasn't plunging into the crowd and shaking people's hands. So I think the public will give him a chance, actually, and I think you're right.
I think we might see him with the grandchildren a bit too. I think that might help his image a bit. Thanks so much for joining us, Tim. I appreciate your insights.
My pleasure.
Tim Ewart there, the former royal editor for ITN, who knows the royal family and all of this backwards.